In the previous video, we showed who Brian Flowers really is. A legitimate long-term Pattaya businessman with a clean record, zero convictions, and a wide range of successful businesses. We also exposed how Andrew Drummond has waged a multi-year campaign of defamation and harassment against him, repeatedly labelling him a pimp and human trafficker. Today we step back and look at the bigger picture. Andrew Drummond has a clear history of launching personal vendettas that he disguises as journalism. Once he picks a target, he does not report the news. He creates a villain. His tactics are remarkably consistent. He uses sensational and abusive headlines designed to shock and destroy reputations. He repeats the same damaging accusations over and over again, sometimes for years. He relies heavily on questionable or biased sources while ignoring any counter-evidence. He mocks any attempt at defence, and he shows zero interest in balance or fairness. Let's look at just a few of his past targets. Niels Colov, a Danish expat and Pattaya newspaper owner, is constantly introduced as a former Copenhagen gangster or former pimp. Drummond frequently paints him as a hypocrite who bought fake titles and awards. Douglas Shoebridge, a former Australian police volunteer in Thailand, was portrayed for years as the mastermind behind a black sex slave trade. Drummond called him a crime syndicate's big daddy who was allowed to flee justice. He linked him to drug plots and gangland murders, and even repeated vulgar, unproven claims that he sampled the goods. British property developer Richard Haughton faced relentless coverage after the collapse of his condo projects. Drummond painted him as a deliberate fraudster who cheated investors. Australian investment fund manager Peter Drake was targeted after one of his funds failed. Drummond portrayed him as an unrepentant swindler. These are not isolated cases. Across all these targets, Drummond follows the same unethical playbook. Dramatic and misleading headlines that presume guilt from the very first line, an obsessive and repetitive coverage that keeps the target in the spotlight for years, with heavy reliance on one-sided or questionable sources and mocking any defence the target tries to offer. Drummond completely refuses to present balance or update stories when new facts emerge, and he actively works to cement a negative image in the public mind long before any court delivers a verdict. This is not journalism. This is character assassination dressed up as investigative reporting. Andrew Drummond does not wait for justice. He tries to deliver his own version through sensational articles and carefully chosen weasel words. He aligns himself completely with one side, often the side that appears to be paying or feeding him information, and he shows no regard for truth, fairness, or basic journalistic ethics. The Brian Flowers campaign is not unique. It is simply the latest chapter in a long pattern of vendetta journalism. And here is the irony. While Drummond spends years trying to destroy other people's reputations with unproven accusations, he himself fled Thailand in 2015 while facing over 20 lawsuits under the country's strict defamation and computer crime laws. He spun his departure as escaping death threats from the criminals he exposed. In reality, he was dodging mounting legal bills and potential imprisonment. Yet he continues to pose as a fearless crusader. In the next parts of this series, we will continue exposing how Drummond selects his targets, how he builds his narratives, and the real human cost of his paid smear campaigns. The mask is slipping. Andrew Drummond does not hold power to account. He sells destruction for profit. Thank you for watching. Subscribe and turn on notifications. Much more is coming.